Thank you so much, James. So welcome to our 30-minute tip of the month webinar, Interactive Teaching Techniques for Mixed Modality. Engaging students effectively across different learning environments requires professors to utilize a different type of strategies that leverage technology and andragogical best practices. So this webinar is tailored for both on-campus and remote professors, along with the support of the Academic Support Assistance, ASA. This webinar will provide us with practical ideas to engage students, no matter of the class modality or format, as you want to call it. So Professor James Jones, Academic Operations Manager, will be today's facilitator. And before I hand on, I read the house rules before, I want to make sure that you to mention that everything that you see, that you will see here, everything that you learned today, is part of a series of self-paced courses designed by the Light Center, and you can find them all on Acorn. I'll give you the links and I'll give you all those resources when the webinar is finished. But first, to ensure a smooth and productive webinar experience for all participants, please make sure to follow these guidelines. Please keep your microphone muted throughout the webinar. This will help maintain an organized and distraction-free environment. If you have any questions, please use the chat box to submit it. We'll review all questions and address them as many as we can. So the webinar will be recorded for future reference and for those who cannot attend today's sessions. And the recorded webinar will be distributed tomorrow in the Politico newsletter. So go ahead, Professor Jones, the floor is yours.
No pressure when it's being recorded, right? Thank you so much, Eve. And once again, thank you everyone for being here. I'm pretty excited. So, but as I do want to add something here is that, as Eve mentioned, I work as the academic operations manager, so I'm often on the Irvine campus, but I also work closely with the ASA team. And so we're going to talk a lot about ASAs, and we're going to talk about mixed modality classrooms. So to kick us off, and I love my annotations bar on Zoom. Whoops, that's the wrong one. We're going to start off with this mixed modality classrooms. And I really believe in like defining what we're talking about right from the beginning. So I'd love to kind of get your definition of what a mixed modality classroom is. Dr. Garashi, I know you're on your iPhone, so I'm going to pick on you first. And Dr. Rashi? Okay, let's open it up though. I know this is a term that we've all heard many times before, and we all are aware of it, mixed modality classrooms. Can someone please provide me a definition for
Yes,
this?
James, sorry, I am back.
I knew you were there, Dr.
Yeah.
Garashi. All right, you want to chime in then?
Yes, are you talking about the hybrid class?
Correct, a hybrid class. Can you kind of provide a definition for it?
Yes, this is the definition that I understand is that there are some students that they cannot be on site and they are online, and some students are on site. So I have to be sure that those people who are on site and those people who are online are on the same page. And really, the challenging is that I have to be very sure that those people online are engaged, because on site is easy to control them, but the people who are online is not easy, because sometimes they turn off the video and then I ask them, hey, please, if I don't see you, I will consider that is like absent, because I don't know where you are.
And that's exactly why I wanted to call on you. I know, so those are definitely some of the challenges when it comes to these mixed modality classrooms. Sometimes with the students being online, some are on campus, it's hard to keep everyone on the same page. And it can even be more difficult when the professor themselves is remote and that we sometimes have students on campus. And I think, does everyone here have probably has some experience with these hybrid mixed modality classrooms? But have you ever taught one where you were remote and you had some students online? Anyone? Oh, I see Dr. Newby. Thank you for waving the hand. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Well, to be honest, it was probably one of the better classes that I've had since I've been working with
Ooh, terrific. Okay.
Westcliff, because I'm a storyteller, so that's how I teach. And I try to get people involved in those stories. And so that's what I did. We did round robins and, like, okay, so this is what my experience was doing this. Tell me what yours was. Does anybody have anything to offer? Does anybody want to chime in? Right. And we had a lot of talk going on. And actually, it was very interesting because we went over. We didn't mean to go over, but we went over the hours we had.
I love it. Yeah, I'm a big fan of being online while I'm teaching as well. I love the interactive tools that like the annotations bar on the Zoom conference call provides. I like being able to see students on the Zoom call. It provides a lot of opportunity for interaction. So I definitely agree with that. So that's perfect. So that really sets us up here and into the two key roles that we want to talk about some today, which are, oops, I need to clear my drawings, is having an ASA and an instructor. And so can anybody, I know a lot of our faculty here have had ASAs today. Again, I'd love for someone to explain to me what an ASA is. Who has had an ASA before? I think Dr. Money, I know you are scheduled to have an ASA this next session. Can you tell us a little bit about who the ASA is and what they do?
The ASA is the on the ground in the classroom person who helps facilitate the remote professor teaching the class.
Love it. Yes, they definitely help to facilitate the class. And can you tell me, how do they help to facilitate the class?
Usually when I have ASAs, I give them everything they need, provide them with a lot of detailed information, like if there's handouts or anything. And they help guide the class, make sure the students are in the classroom, help facilitate groups, and all of those things so that the remote professor can teach efficiently.
Cool. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. So that kind of preparation, communication definitely play huge factors there. So thank you for that. Now, one thing that I do want to address that comes up quite often and sometimes gets a little bit confused is, are ASAs TAs? So, or can anyone tell me what is the difference between an ASA and a teaching assistant? Let's see. I see Dr. Lipo smiling, but I'm not going to call on him because he knows the answer to everything. So instead, I would like to call on maybe someone we haven't heard from yet. Maybe Cynthia Azari. I saw you your video pop up a little bit earlier. Sorry I didn't get to meet you earlier.
Hi. Yes. I'm in Las Vegas, so I don't want to see my face. But,
Fantastic. Okay, me too.
yes, I have had an ASA, and unfortunately, I picked up the class kind of last minute, so I didn't know what ASA was. I thought his name was Asa, but we had a conversation afterwards, and he was very, very helpful. And he actually gave me some ideas how to group students, how to involve them, and similar to the other professor. We shared ideas and we held conversations, and the online students participated as well as the students in the classroom. So they were very helpful. They were actually, the ASA actually moved the camera so we could see the front, the faces of the students as opposed to the back of the students.
Terrific. Okay, I like that. We're always looking, the ASA team, we are always looking for ways to kind of optimize that communication between faculty and students. However, my key question here that I'm trying to answer is, what's the difference between an ASA and a TA? And it's kind of a trick question, but I see some people in the chat. Do we have an answer here? Oh, no. Okay. Dr. Newby sharing some great experiences that she's had with the ASAs. I will come back to those in a second.
Well, a TA, at least from my experience, is usually a graduate student who's working on their own degree and is helping out in the classroom to learn how to teach, whereas the ASAs are professors and instructors as well. They're not a grad student. For me, that's the biggest distinction. It's a colleague.
Correct. Okay. I'm so glad you mentioned that. And so that is, so ASAs are not necessarily going to be trained in the subject that for the class that they are assigned to. So please never ask your ASA to lead the class or to give a lecture or anything like that. They are there to help encourage the facilitation and the interaction for a professor while they are while they are remote, and they may have students online or on site. So very good. Any questions on ASAs? I think we all know what the instructor is. So as Eve mentioned, this presentation is available on Genially or on Acorns, I apologize. And so I'm going to be glossing over a lot of things here because there's just so much content that we can't get to it all. But when you click on things like the pictures, you will get more detailed information here about further defining these roles. And she really does a great job of embedding these ideas into like the larger theories. Eve, you are really just amazing at what you do. So just wanted to give you that shout out. Okay, so I'm going to move on because I want to get to the next part of, so we've already heard some about this from Dr. Money, from Dr. Newby about teaching with ASAs. And the best way to do that obviously is communicating with your ASA head. If you do have an ASA, usually about a week before your session begins, you'll receive an email from me that CCs your ASA on that email. So if you have an ASA this next session, you'll probably be already connected with them. And just reach out to start planning and to figure out how can they make things easier. So we are trying to streamline some of our own practices, such as collecting attendance for the students on campus, but we cannot input it into GAP for you, but we can help you to take notes about when are students arriving. We can help to notify you which students are participating to help be your eyes and ears in the classroom, for example. Again, Eve has placed a lot of excellent information in all of these, but I want to get to the fun stuff. So some teaching ideas, and this kind of gets into that mixed modality student engagement across mixed modality classrooms and how an ASA can be involved. Now, Dr. Garashi, you jumped right into this about the challenges facing online classes. We're going to be circling back to that in just a second. But on that thread, what are some ideas that you guys have had? I see Dr. Newby's already shared one. Dr. Newby, could you tell us a little bit about the activities, some activities you've done while for online classes, hybrid classes, or classes where you were remote and students were on campus?
So one of the things I like to do is I do an MBSR, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction. And I do that because what it does is it helps everybody to kind of, decompress from everything that's happening all around them, put their phone down, all the things that are going to be in the way of them paying attention.
Okay.
And I get them to come into the moment, and we spend 1 to 3 minutes in this activity. And at the end, I will hear so many people say, wow, that was a great class, but because they paid attention.
Okay.
And if I don't do one, if I'm too busy and I forget to do it, I get them like I'm falling asleep, I'm leaving, I'm right. So it really is worth the 2 to 3 minutes to do it. And it's a free thing.
I like it. I'm a big proponent of things like mindfulness and that kind of self-awareness that comes with this. And if you can really set an intention for something, just taking a few minutes, I know there's a lot of research that shows how much of an impact meditation has. So I have no doubt that
I provide all that. So I always provide them in the, in the social forum.
Awesome.
I put all those references there for them, and I say, okay, this isn't just a pretty nutty crunchy thing I want you to do. I want you to know that I've given you the data that shows this is real and it's helpful. And
Okay.
they love that. And then I notice that they'll use some of those references in papers that they write later, which is very cool. And my ASA, even in the 2 classes that I've had in ASA, they have actually participated as well.
Right. And thank you for mentioning that, actually. It's always sometimes the ASAs can be kind of left out of the mix because they are trying to help organize and facilitate, and they may not necessarily know much about the subject, but involving them in there can really help to create that inclusive classroom. So I always love hearing when professors are practicing that. So thank you. So we're going to be jumping into some activities of hybrid classes before we actually get to do one before time runs out. And this is it's always great when you're in a classroom to have some kind of activity where the students are trying to apply the lessons that they're learning or get to share their ideas with the students. In my opinion, one of the most important resources for a classroom is always the other students. So anytime I can pair students together and have them work on a task or some kind of activity that is related to the subject, I find that it pays huge dividends for the class. So let's clear this screen and let's jump into a few more activities that Eve has researched and defined us, and then we're going to actually do one. So, so some things like hybrid debates, you can have, while you're having students online and on campus, it's always good to, Eve has broken down the steps for how to organize a debate here, but kind of like Dr. Garashi pulled up, sometimes it can be difficult to have everyone on the same page here. And to define, but so Eve, what she's done is she's defined the learning objective and the benefits for the students, and then provided the steps. And so here's some steps on how you can do that. Again, I hope this encourages you to go through here and to look closer. But what I really want to do is I want to get to our own activities. So things like interactive case studies can also be very effective for effective activities for hybrid classrooms. And here's the one I would like to do with us, as a simulated problem solving. So full circle back to Dr. Garashi's comment about the challenges in hybrid classrooms. I would love to get some more out there. Professor Scobie, I see you on my screen here, or at least your picture here. What are some of the challenges that come from hybrid classrooms?
I would say getting them all involved while we have some online doing whatever they're doing. And then the one in the classroom that may feel, when you talk to the one in the classroom, the ones online may feel a little bit left out.
Okay.
But keeping them all engaged at the same time, I think if I can put it together coherently. Yes, getting them engaged at the same time, because me being in the classroom with them and then somebody being online, that's the challenge of being in on site and the students being on site and then the students being online. So that would be one challenge.
Okay.
If the professor is online and students are, if the professor are on campus and the students are online, that's the one. So there's many challenges.
Definitely, there are a lot of challenges. And so as much as I would love to kind of continue to build on this, I actually want to clear that off. I need to undo this. Okay, so what we're actually going to do is I'm going to put us into breakout rooms for about 7 minutes. And normally I would not show this to my classrooms, but this is a class of professors. So I kind of want to show you guys how the sausage is made. Oops. And so what I've pulled up here is this is actually from a prompt I sent to ChatGPT. It turns out ChatGPT can be very effective at creating short activities based on prompts. So from the activity that Eve defined, a simulated problem solving with mixed modality classes, it helps to break down and provide a lesson plan here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just the scenario and the problem statement and swap back to here. I'm going to put this into our chat box here so that we can read this together. So in a moment, I'm going to put us all into a breakout room. And for this scenario, I want you guys to imagine that you're teaching a hybrid class where 50% of your students are online and 50% are in person. So let's say you have, out of 10 students, 5 are online and 5 are in person. And you've noticed a significant engagement gap between the two groups. In-person students are more active in discussions, while online students tend to be passive and disengaged. So your task is to identify the key challenges in engaging both students equally and develop a strategy or set of actions that you could implement to bridge this engagement gap and foster a more integrated learning experience. I hope everybody doesn't just say, put them into breakout rooms. Hopefully we can get a little bit more of Lipo, I know you love your breakout rooms. But hopefully we can have a little bit more of a detailed plan, because I'm going to put everyone into groups of, we have 19 participants. I'll put everyone
James,
into, oh,
just to
yes.
interpret you, just leave one group in the main room for recording purposes.
Okay, well then, can I? Okay, then, well, you don't
just
have
don't
to join the
assign
room.
them to a group.
Thank you very much. Okay, making me think on my feet. All right, so in a moment, I'm going to put everyone into a breakout room except for about 3 people, and you guys will be the lucky ones to stay in here with myself, Eve, and maybe Dr. Lipo. We'll see
And
if he gets
that's the
checked or
rule
not.
in classes too, when you put them in breakout rooms.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that. So you always have to keep some students in the main room? Is that the rule, Dr. Lipo?
Yes,
You want
so
them recorded.
yeah, if you
Didn't
want it
post now.
recorded, that way students who are watching the recording know what's going on.
Oh,
The
okay.
recording is only in the main room. That's the point.
Oh, I see. Okay. I'm trying to assign that manually because I usually just set it automatically. Well, okay, so I'm going to, just for the sake of time, I'm going to do these automatically. We're going to have about 5 minutes, so very short time to try to come up with some ideas for this scenario. But Dr. Newby, Professor Scobie, and Dr. Money, I apologize, Professor Scobie, I don't know if you have your doctorate or not. Maybe I should just say Dr. Scobie. Would you 3 please remain in the main room? Please do not follow the prompt to go into a breakout room. All right. Everyone else, please join. Thank you. Oh, okay. There we go. All rooms. All right. I wish I would have kept Dr. Johnson in here, actually. I know I heard his voice a second ago.
We'll put him back.
Okay, and then I think I need to actually broadcast this to our breakout rooms. Broadcast.
Oh, you mean the instructions?
Yes, I forgot how to do that.
Okay, I can do that for you.
Okay, we can broadcast the screen and the message.
Oh, not the screen, only the message. Oh, and it's only like 20 words.
So
nothing
I
else.
actually have to stop sharing. I forgot. You have to actually stop sharing and then share your screen again. Share to breakout rooms. There we go. All right, now the breakout rooms should see that.
Okay.
All right. And then I have to send this message one more time, I believe, to everyone. Okay. All right. Hello, guys. Thank you guys for staying here. And thank you for giving so many great answers and ideas today. We don't have much time, but so in this scenario about engaging online and on-campus students equally, what would you guys do?
I have an idea. I would do something that I found on the Greater Good Science Center with respect to this, and I have done it now 4 times with 4 different classes, and it's really helped. Where I pair somebody in the classroom with somebody online. And I have them do a breakout session, basically where they do icebreakers, and then they come back and they hand it off to the next people. And it takes up about 20 minutes, but it actually gets everybody engaged. And then when they come in the next day, it's interesting. They'll look up on the screen the next class and they'll go, "Hey, Lucas, how you doing? I know you're out there." Which is kind of interesting because they've made that connection.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to set the timer. Can everybody see the 3-minute timer on there now? Yeah, okay. Zoom has come out with a lot of new functions, so it's been pretty good. Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Newby. Would somebody else like to? Dr. Money, any advice on if the so Dr. Newby says we could pair online and on-campus students. My concern with that, actually, just so you know, is then it's you're dividing up. I like to kind of keep my students together. Because I think that's easier to separate them actually. Now that I've kind of
They
processed
are,
what you
they are
said.
actually still together. They punt off to the next group and they each pick one from
Okay.
this, right? So it's about a 20-minute investment but it gets them all so that they know each other. And it's like an icebreaker I start the whole class with. It seems to work because otherwise it was like there were them and there were they, these other people, and there the two should meet, right? And I didn't know what to do. So I got that information from Greater Good because I was in a quandary and it seemed to work.
Okay, all right. I don't think I've tried that one before where I'm pairing an online student with an on-campus student, but now that we are opening up the Zoom link, that would be possible. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Professor Scobie, Dr. Scobie.
I would say try to create some of the teams when there will be teams, and then in the teams you would pair up the online, something similar what the professor Dr. Newby would say, have the team not having the individual work but having activities where it's a team effort, and in the team there would be a mix of online and in-person students where they would be together working on something or researching something and presenting something, where they would have the roles assigned to them and they would be responsible on accomplishing something and then presenting something, whether it's a debate activity or a critical thinking activity. They will be solving something as a team so that they kind of will have no other choice but to participate, because they have to present something at the end of the time of the activity, just like we're doing something now, like whether we like it or not, the time runs out and we have to present something or we have to do something.
That's exactly kind of like my process. I always try to start with like background information to kind of create a common understanding, and then to try to hand off what the task is to maybe get them started with like an I do, we do, you do. Can you guys, okay, that was our timer. So I'm going to actually close the breakout rooms now. But yeah, so kind of putting them on the spot to do that. So closing the rooms, everyone will be coming back in. Thank you. Okay.
I just want to say
Dr.
I
Minnie,
was in
can
a
I-
room by myself, but we had a great conversation.
Oh no, did I do that? Did I put you in a, okay.
No, there were two other people, but they popped in and then left. It must have been something I didn't say.
Trying to avoid the titan of Dr. Lipo. All right, so we're gonna have everybody should be filling back in here. And Professor Kobe, you totally kind of nailed exactly what I do. I kind of put people in the position where they have to speak, and then normally we would want to collect some of those answers at the end, but gosh, we've already run out of 30 minutes. I mean, it's just hard to do anything in that time. But I think if everyone else didn't just get kicked out of the breakout rooms, we lost some professors there. I think it's a perfect way to just wrap up here. Oh, there we go. Now they're all coming back. All right, welcome back, professors.
Hey, James,
Hey, Dr. Johnson.
I just have a quick question, because it seems like one of the dynamics and things that I've heard is all that many, like when you say use breakout rooms, all you're really doing in that case is you're taking somebody who was doing their class from their bedroom or living room or whatever, and you're making them do the exact same thing just physically on campus, but they're still using their computer. It's just it's not that's not a hybrid environment. If you're going to force them to, because in the students that are physically in class, many of them don't bring their computer.
You're correct. And
so how are they going to engage in a breakout room?
I'm glad you actually brought that up, Dr. Johnson. So actually one small announcement, which it seemed, Dr. Lipo, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the Zoom links are no longer going to be hidden from students. And so this means that your on-campus students will actually be able to log into the Zoom class. However, it is of paramount importance that students still attend from campus if they are assigned to being on campus. This can impact many things such as visa compliance and scholarships and financial aid and etc. So it is essential that they still attend according to their assigned modality, but the on-campus students will have, they will be able to access it if they want to. And that should help with this kind of direct interaction, as opposed to having 10 students in a classroom all on one Zoom link. And I think that was your main concern there, Dr. Johnson.
Well, that's if they bring their computer.
If they bring their computer. Otherwise, it's always going to be on a case-by-case thing, depending on how many students. And so probably the best person to help you figure that out would be an ASA, or feel free to reach out to me and we can kind of assess the situation. But I'm pretty confident that all of our professors here will have a great judgment. It's kind of why you're a professor to begin with. So, but either way, one of the goals is with these mixed modality classrooms is to try to get them involved, to have them interact. There's a lot of features on Zoom. There's an ASA in your classroom. So all of these things can help you to increase your engagement across mixed modalities. So lots of ideas that I hope you will check this out. Eve is going to finish with a plug, but I do see Professor Dr. Alberodi with his hand up.
Hey, I just want to thank you for this. It's really interesting subject. For me, it's just my class is hands-on. Like at every time I expect the student to do exactly what I'm doing. Like I give them exercise, who is like not moving along with us, and like expect to share your screen with me at any time, even if you are in the class and physically in campus. I remember, I think we had this discussion with you, Dr. Jones, that I want them to share Zoom, because instead of me walking behind their shoulder and see what they are doing, I want them to share their screen. Even if I'm in the class, I want to share the screen so everybody can see what they're doing, what the mistake they are doing, etc. Unfortunately, at that time, there were limitations. No, we cannot share it.
Yeah.
And actually, I sent them a whole email with sharing the link. I didn't know. I was excited, like, I can have everybody with their computers, everybody sharing the screen. I don't care what modality is. Like my system should work. You know what I mean?
Maybe I'm a little bit of a control freak because I typically don't let students share the screen. Maybe I'm just afraid of what they'll show if they have that power. But by all means, like if that works for this, but I know that depending on the subject that you're teaching, it might be beneficial if, for example, you can see what they are programming, for example. And so having those professor eyes on the task that they're doing, and so that other students can observe that student getting that feedback can definitely be very effective. And there's no one right way to do this, but the overarching principle to all of this is how can we engage students effectively when our students are maybe on campus or they are online, maybe the professor is remote. These are unique challenges to the modern era. But there are a lot. Luckily, we have people like Eve creating these amazing presentations with all of these great ideas. And we have things like, I know there's some people in the audience who are not big fans of AI, but I have found some really great applications for designing short lesson plans, nothing factual based, Dr. Johnson, and just to help, create these quick lesson plans. And maybe that's from my background as an ESL instructor, where I think everything is a language class, so it requires that high level of engagement. But a lot of research shows that if you're not engaging your students, it's going to be very difficult for to have that kind of impact that we're trying to make with them. But I just want to say thank you all for coming and sharing your time with me today. I hope something, if you got something out of it. If not, hopefully you got were at least entertained. And then I'll pass it back over to Eve.
It was great. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rashi.
Thank you so much, James, for this wonderful session. 30 minutes is not enough. It's never enough.
Oh my
right?
gosh,
But,
it's impossible.
But there's way more that you can learn and discuss and reflect. And I just posted 3 of the courses that have to do with mixed modality classrooms. They are available on Acorn. The first one, engaging students effectively across different learning environments. It's only 15 minutes. It's just super hands-on, and it's going to give you ideas on what you can do when you are online and you have students on campus. So for the rest, if you go to the next slide, these are our next initiatives. We have 3 initiatives for September, one DEI panel, then we're going to have a 30-minute tip of the month, and we're going to be talking about how to engage students on GAP during asynchronous discussion questions. And then, of course, September's topic for the reading club on article and in app student engagement across course teaching modalities. And James is going to be the one also leading that conversation. So I will be
Don't tell them
sending
that.
all
They
the...
won't come. Just kidding.
Yes,
Just kidding.
so I will be sending invites soon, and thanks everyone for attending today's session. Bye-bye.